Let's play some hockey tonight.
Energetic, passionate, and savvy. Gouche Live. Brought to you by the good people at the Hockey News and Sports Illustrated. And now, ladies and gentlemen, the Gouche.
Hey, welcome to another episode of Gouche Live right here at the Bottomline. Want to do a shout out to Wayne Cowley, obviously ice hockey as they know it around Europe, where he played and I played. It's called hockey. It's over. Yes, it is. If you didn't know it, if you didn't watch the game last night, the Montreal Canadiens went down 1-0 in the best of 7 to the Tampa Bay Lightning. So congratulations to the Tampa Bay Lightning. We were so excited for them to win the Stanley Cup 2 years in a row, and it would have been nice to see Montreal bring it back, but the better team won. And I want to tell you, I can't thank the Hockey News and, of course, Sports Illustrated for bringing you this show from the Bottom Line. I'm Kerry Goulet, better known as the Gooch, and I'll be entertaining you for a half an hour. Listen, I've got my producer here along with us at the Bottom Line. Wayne's done a great job. He feeds us with chicken wings. He's one of our sponsors, of course, and he makes sure that our coffee cups are full to the brim. Ladies and gentlemen, Jordan Larache.
It's a sad day in the hockey world, Gooch.
Why is that?
The finals are done. We have to wait, 2-3 months before NHL season starts up again. So,
oh, no. There's lots going on. Listen, the NHL key summer dates, don't forget, July 9th is the last possible day of the Stanley Cup. That's over with. It's done. July 17th, teams must send their prediction lists in, right?
protection lists.
That's what I said. Protection list. July 21st, is that the correct date?
Yeah, I believe so. Yeah, that's what I've seen.
Now it's called the Seattle Kraken expansion draft. I know we're going to be doing a specific show just on that, and it'll be about who we think is going to be taken off each roster. I want to ask you right off the bat, just for a little prediction quickly. We'll get back to it. Toronto Maple Leafs, who gets taken?
I did a little mock draft on my drive back from Montreal the other day, and I believe we took Justin Holl. The Leafs, they have a lot of UFAs coming up, so they won't have a ton of options for the expansion draft. So they're beside the four, the Matthews, the Nylanders, the Tavares, those guys, but the rest aren't really going to be. There's not a lot for Seattle to take there, unfortunately.
All right, so this expansion draft happens on July the 21st. We'll be bringing you a bunch of information about that over the next couple of days. And, of course, July 23rd, 24th, it's the actual NHL entry draft. Who's going first overall?
I haven't looked at the prospects yet, honestly.
No worries. We'll be bringing you a show all about that. And July 28th, the free agency signing period begins. That, I think, is going to be one of the most exciting times of the year. Yes, the expansion draft. Yes, the NHL draft. But I love the free agency. And we'll get all into that. Tomorrow we have Stephen Ellis joining us, so we'll touch a little bit upon that as we wrap up the NHL.
Also, just quickly, the Gouche Live blog has been putting up a few blogs in the past few weeks about free agency, kind of getting ready for that. So if you want to read up on some free agency news, go to Gouche Live, thegouche.com/blog, and you can catch up on it there.
Well, we're really excited. We're changing a lot of stuff. As you know, next week we start our new program shows. We'll be listing those for you. But more importantly, our website's changing. The Gouche Live is changing. I know you're working on it. Lots of great content being put together. And I'm looking really forward to reading some of those blogs that you and Neil Becker are putting up that keep us informed of what's going on. Let's get to last night. A 1-0 victory for the Tampa Bay Lightning. Obviously, the Conn Smythe winner. There was only one choice. I know people talked about Kucherov, but after his statement about the Montreal Canadiens fans, I don't think he'll be allowed back in Canada, unless you're a Leafs fan. Vasilevsky was outstanding to obviously have 5 shutouts in the playoffs is over the top. But last night in a crucial game, he was the difference as far as I'm concerned. Montreal had a few chances to obviously go in front. We know that when they go in front, they have a better chance of winning. But the unlikely hero, Ross Colton. Talk to us about that. A good goal, but really kind of strange that that's the one that decides the Stanley Cup for the Tampa Bay Lightning.
Yeah, sometimes you get those scenarios, right? The unsung hero of sorts. So it's cool to see. Congratulations to Ross Colton. He's been kind of on that bubble situation for the whole year. It's great to see him finally make a big contribution in the Stanley Cup final. But for the comments by Vasilevsky, I mean, could you give it to anyone else? All throughout the whole playoffs, he's been their best player in elimination games, in game ones. From top to bottom, he's been their number one star.
Well, then you could say that about, Point had a big streak. We saw that. Of course, Stamkos played well. Kucherov, everybody was kind of maybe considering him. Obviously, Carey Price played himself out of that situation. The one common denominator for the victories for the Tampa Bay Lightning was Vasilevsky. So I think, as you said, there was no other chance. Just a little bit about last night's game. Some shots on net, 30-22 advantage Lightning, 56-48 hits advantage Lightning. On all the categories, takeaways 8-4, giveaways 10-6, all of them lean towards a Tampa Bay victory. But I think the real turning point yesterday was when Montreal had a couple of power plays. They went 0 for 3. They were also very good on the penalty kill, where they were also killed off 3 of the power plays. Had they scored on 2 of those power plays, they are now playing game 6 tomorrow. So I'm wondering what they could have done to adjust. They didn't make any adjustments there. The power play was just dismal. Your thoughts on that?
I think you said it last night, Gooch. Tampa Bay just started doing what Montreal did all throughout the playoffs, and on the penalty kill, they just attacked the puck. They send a guy out. Sometimes you might get caught, but you're not giving them much time with the puck. They start to panic, and you saw that towards the end of the game. Montreal's power play, they couldn't even get out of the zone. They couldn't complete a pass. So the Tampa Bay was clearly the better team, and the better team won last night.
No question. I think, I don't know if you saw it last night, Shea Weber was distraught after the loss, and all the team went to him to kind of say, hey, you know what, we'll be there again next year. Next year's going to be a lot different. Every time you say next year, we know what can happen. Hey, Craig Ellerts, thank you for joining us today. I want to say hello. Obviously, big news for you. As you know, Jonathan Toews, Craig's a big Chicago Blackhawks fan. Of course, Jonathan Toews has announced that it looks like he'll be back next year. Let's stay on the Stanley Cup Finals. Obviously, the question will be, is this now one of those teams that's a dynasty? Can we call the Tampa Bay Lightning a dynasty? Only 2 wins in a row. Some people are thinking and predicting they can get back there and win 3 in a row. I do not believe that. I think the parity of the league and the ability for these teams to make quicker changes than they did in the past, I don't think it's possible to win 3 in a row, but we said that about 2 in a row. Your thoughts on dynasty, putting that label dynasty to this group?
Well, for starters, Florida has one of the lowest state taxes in the NHL, so that's a big advantage right there when it comes to signing free agents. They can give a guy a couple fewer $1 million, and he would be making the same as, say, Mitch Marner in Toronto after taxes. So that's just a big advantage that they'll have over the league. And yeah, they are losing a few guys to free agency this year, but solely because of the state tax in Florida, that they'll be able to re-sign them, no problem.
Well, we're here at the Bottom Line, and we'll be doing this every Thursday, lunch with Gouche and friends. And I know I can't wait for you and I to get the chicken wings that are coming out. It smells great. The patio is closed today, of course, bad weather, but certainly you got to make sure you check out the Bottom Line. Wayne Cowley is arguably one of the best hosts you'll ever meet in your life. He's just got a great machine running here. The people are great. The restaurant's great. And the chicken wings are amongst the best in the world. I'm going and saying the world. Talk to us a little bit about what's going to go on in the next week. Obviously, the Montreal Canadiens, Carey Price, he didn't look distraught. He's very level-headed. He understands what just went on. He understands the fact that, he was there. He had a chance, just as with Shea Weber, but he is getting long in the tooth for goaltenders. We know that. How do you think everybody's reacting after, obviously, the loss they took last night?
Well, I mean, there was a good interaction when Carey Price and Shea Weber were talking to the media after the game. Carey Price kind of started out by saying, I thought I could have played better at the start of the series, and we kind of just dug ourselves a hole. But Shea Weber almost immediately cut him off and said, we didn't play good enough in front of Carey. And that just shows the amount of these guys buying into this team and going on this sort of venture together to the Stanley Cup Finals. You create a lot of bonds in that locker room. You create a lot of memories. So for these guys, it's not something they'll ever forget. and like they might not even make the playoffs next year. So that just makes this really, really hard to swallow for those guys like the Shea Webbers, the Carey Prices, those older guys.
And even though they didn't win the Stanley Cup, we will remember this team on the magical ride that they had. I found it a little offside what Kucherov said. I thought he should have been a little bit more quiet. I don't think you need to throw, daggers at this particular moment. You got to lose good. You also got to win good. And by him, starting a little bit of controversy, that could have started a riot in Montreal. So you got to be very careful. Words do matter. What are your thoughts on that? Obviously he said they won the Stanley Cup, or they felt that they won the Stanley Cup in Game 4. Your thoughts on that?
I actually disagree with you there. The NHL needs a little more personality. So having Nikita Kucherov blackout drunk with his shirt off in front of the media, it just shows that these guys actually do have a little more life outside of hockey, and it's a cool window into kind of how the Tampa Bay Lightning room was after the game, and how hard these guys are going to be partying over the next few days.
Yeah, but again, the NHL is about a league that's family orientated. This is not, rock'em sock'em robots. This is a league that has to uphold its standards. I will disagree. Maybe with the statement that he made, you could soften that. But coming up to the microphone without a shirt on, I think that shows a lot of not much class. That's my opinion. I'm a little bit older, maybe for the younger generation. But when you're a father of a young boy or girl, trying to get them to understand that when you get in front of a mic, you should have some decorum. I just felt that was a little bit offside. Whatever went on in the dressing room, we get that. That's understood, but not when you're representing your team and your organization in front of a mic at a press conference like that. We'll leave it at that. I know you're going to...
The guys won 2 Stanley Cups, but we'll leave that for another time.
But winning Stanley Cups does not make you a good person. Don't forget that. I'll leave you at that. All right, here we go. Let's get now into the fact what's next. Obviously, we've got a bunch of events coming up. We're going to be discussing some of the changes of the show tomorrow. We'll be laying out our schedule. But what's really exciting is that we're going to have Stephen Ellis to wrap up this year and then get us set up for what's going to go on with the Hockey News and Sports Illustrated in the future. Obviously, we've got some great shows on. As you mentioned, we now have a podcast. I'll actually be writing a few things and giving my opinion. And I know we're going to agree to disagree. Thank God Rosie's not here because I'm probably would be doing that, rock'em sock'em. But that's what's important. We have to have different opinions, different attitudes, and of course, looking at different things. And we're here right at the bottom line with Wayne Cowley. We're looking at having the opportunity of bringing some alumni on. Your thoughts on this year and how not only we've done, but also the NHL.
Let's start with the NHL. I mean, you gotta give them full props. They did a great job kind of managing everything. There were a few small COVID outbreaks, but at the end of the day, no one got seriously hurt or seriously long-term effects from COVID. And the year almost went off without a hitch. But in terms of us, it's been great to kind of see that we kind of gained some momentum through the playoffs. If you guys just keep tuning in, we'll be happy to keep doing this. So. We'll hope to be back next season. We will be back next season, and hopefully we can take this thing to the moon.
Yes, sir. Well, we've obviously with Graham Rouston from the Hockey News putting us up on this platform has been fantastic. We want to thank him. Stephen Ellis for all that he's done, keeping us afloat. And, of course, Yuka joining us with Val Silva. And, now we have, obviously, the Paul Rosen, the Rosen Report. That's been fantastic. And, of course, we do the Monday nights with Mental Health Mondays, which is more of a show that kind of helps people walk through this pandemic. And then Wellness Wednesdays. And, of course, don't forget the Journey on Sunday nights. All right, back to hockey a little bit. As we close up the National Hockey League, the Stanley Cup has been presented. We saw Philip Pritchard walk out, and it was electric. When he walked out with Craig Campbell with that trophy, I took a picture on the TV. The people were going absolutely bonkers in Tampa Bay. How much difference would this have made for the Montreal Canadiens? They played very well in Game 2. They had a chance down in Tampa Bay to bring it home. And then they would have came home. You were at Game 3. You said that 3,500 fans, really sounded like 20,000. So think about if they would have had the regular 15,000 fans in that arena, or 20,000, I think, the Bell Center. Would that have made any kind of a difference to the Montreal Canadiens being able to lift their game a bit? Or we know it's justly, so the best team won. Had it gone to 7 games, I would have said it would have been a coin toss. How much did the fans make a difference for the Montreal Canadiens and for Tampa Bay?
Well, yeah, just like right off the bat, like if you see the crowd of Tampa, it's absolutely nuts there. Everyone's on their feet, everyone's jumping up and down, everyone's screaming. So, and then you go to Montreal with just like the 3,500, and yeah, maybe it was a little more than 3,500, but it still does make a difference. That extra 12,000 or so can really kind of give that team that extra boost, or throw off someone on the other team for a play here and there. So it's one of those really intangible things that you can't really measure, but it always kind of creeps its way to find a way to impact the series.
All right, sorry, I was just looking at it. Just got a text here. I was just looking at a couple of things. All right, as we leave you today, I really think that we've had a great series. I think the magical journey that the Montreal Canadiens were on was going to be one of those things that we're going to talk about for the next couple of years and look back and say, and I know the Montreal Canadiens can say, what if? But I think it's the excitement about seeing Caulfield come to life. Suzuki, how great he played. And I know over the next couple of weeks, we'll be talking about, where they're going to go as far as changes in the Montreal Canadiens. But we can talk about that, the Winnipeg Jets, the Tampa Bay Lightning, Colorado, what do they do for changes? We will be talking about that. But I want to leave that, as Dave Stubbs says, it was a fun ride, and I think a lot of Montreal Canadian fans are saying that. Yes, they were immediately disappointed. I know, Jonah, your buddy's probably a little bit disappointed this morning, but when you really look at it, did you really expect to even be here today having this conversation about the Montreal Canadiens in the Stanley Cup Finals? At the beginning of the playoffs, I would say 99% of the people would have said no. So I think it's really important that we're excited about that today.
Yeah, for any team that's finished 18th in the regular season and make it to the Stanley Cup Final, I mean, it's a season to remember. And usually you don't remember the team that loses in the Stanley Cup Final, but for some weird reason, I feel like we'll remember this Montreal team for a little bit.
No question. Hey, all the way from Brisbane, Australia, Ron Hughes. I know you're just getting ready to go down, wake up. I think you're going to bed right now. I can't remember all these time zone changes. Thank you for joining Gouche Live. I know that Paul Rosen has the Rosen Report this afternoon. Jordan, you and I will be back on it. We're going to break down the game just a little bit more. Your final thoughts on what you've seen over the, I guess, the entire playoffs. Let's do this quickly. A disappointment, and one of the things that you found enlightening of this journey in the 2021 Stanley Cup Finals.
I think the biggest disappointment for me would be the reffing. I mean, it's just a lot that went by, and a lot that kind of was. It didn't. I don't want to say one-sided, but kind of, they missed a call on Montreal, they missed a call on X team, and they wouldn't call it the other way. So I'll leave that in the past. But a positive. I mean, just the Montreal story and the amount of games that were overtime games and like 1-goal games that were exciting, like right down to the wire. This year there was a number of them, and in almost every series as well, in the East Coast and the West. And it was probably one of the best playoffs in recent memory for me, at least.
Yeah, and you know what I'm going to say? My negative is exactly there too. I think the playoffs, we've seen a spot that the NHL has to address. And I don't think it's been addressed enough. And I think Gary Bettman had an opportunity to be, he said they're the best referees in the world. Let's be realistic. You should say, we all know that you're going to make mistakes throughout the playoffs and throughout the regular season, but the referees need to strive to be better. That's all we're asking for, consistency. And the other thing that I think a negative for me is what's going down in Chicago. Of course, there's a negative and a positive. Obviously, this sexual abuse case, I think it's going to get ugly over the summer when we really find out what went on there. But for the positive, Jonathan Toews coming out and saying that he's probably going to be back in the NHL. That's great for all of us, especially Team Canada. And the last part I want to say is the Vancouver Canucks and COVID. I think COVID was a very big negative. However, not only the Vancouver Canucks showed us they could get through a very drastic time, I think we got to tip our hats off to all of the NHL and how they handled the protocols, and it worked. They got through it, and I think that's a big compliment to the National Hockey League and, of course, to all the NHL teams that followed the proper protocols, and we got through, and now the Stanley Cup was hoisted by Steve Stamkos last night. Listen, Ron is telling us it's 2 a.m. in the morning. Get to sleep, kid. Get to sleep. All right, listen, we will be on the Rosa Report this afternoon at 4 o'clock. We are here live at the Bottom Line every Thursday. Unfortunately, the patio is not open. I know it will be open for the big game coming up Sunday, unless there's rain, of course. And we're going to listen to Footy Express right after us. We've got Val Silva and Nicholas Fierro at 12:30, bringing us all the news of Euro 2020 and, of course, Copa America 2021. Last word to you, Jordan.
You know, hopefully this is a quick off season, that I'm sure it will be with the expansion draft and everything that's going on. So I'm excited. We're excited to cover all that, and we'll see you guys soon.
All right, that's Jordan LaRoche, our great producer of the Gouche Live and many other of the shows that we're doing. Hey, listen, I want to just make sure you check out Gouche Live, obviously on Facebook, on TikTok, on Twitter, on Twitch. Do it all for us, guys. We want to be around next year with you and entertaining, bringing you guests from all around the world, and especially being here at the Bottom Line. We'll be doing some live shows right here on Thursday nights. The Leafs get back on track and hopefully have a season that's just as magical as the Montreal Canadiens. However, I would like to see the Winnipeg Jets do it. And you'll see Gouche Live all around North America as we get to open up. We'll be in Vegas. We'll be in Winnipeg. We'll be in Vancouver. You know what? We'll be in Australia, New Zealand, and Germany. Travel with us. I want to thank the Hockey News and, of course, Sports Illustrated for always being there for us and allowing us to come live to you. And today from the Bottom Line. Good night.
You've been listening to Gouche Live with your host, Kerry Goulet, better known as The Gooch, brought to you by the Hockey News and Sports Illustrated.